The silent passenger. It was nearly midnight and Alex finished his shift at the diner and began his long drive home. The highways stretched out before him, an endless ribbon of asphalt cutting through the darkness. A thick fog had settled over the road, muting the world to a hushed, eerie silence. As he rounded a bend, his headlights illuminated a figure standing at the roadside, a woman in a tattered white dress, her long hair hanging in damp strands over her face. Her bare feet were planted in the gravel, and she raised one hand in a silent plea. Something in Alex's gut twisted. Every horror movie he'd ever seen screamed at him to keep driving, but he couldn't ignore the chill of guilt creeping up his spine. With a sigh, he pulled over and rolled down the window. "Do you need a ride?" he asked hesitantly. The woman nodded, her face still obscured by her hair. She moved without a sound, sliding into the passenger seat with an unnatural grace. The air inside the car turned frigid, but Alex forced himself to ignore the goosebumps crawling over his skin. "Where are you headed?" he asked, forcing a chuckle. "Not that there's much out this way." The woman said nothing. Instead, she lifted one pale hand and pointed down the road. Alex swallowed hard and shifted into gear. The silence grew oppressive, and he found himself gripping the steering wheel too tightly. The further they drove, the denser the fog became, swallowing the world beyond the narrow tunnel of his headlights. Glancing at his passenger, Alex felt his breath catch in his throat. Her hair had shifted, revealing a face that was all wrong, her mouth stretched too wide, her eyes black voids that seemed to drink in the light. Her skin was pallid, marred by deep, inky veins that pulsed as if something beneath her flesh was moving. His foot slammed on the brakes. The car screeched to a halt, but the woman didn't lurch forward like she should have. She sat perfectly still, her head slowly turning toward him. "You shouldn't have stopped," she whispered, her voice a hollow echo of something that had once been human. The world outside the car had disappeared entirely into the mist. The headlights flickered, and the radio crackled to life, emitting a low, static-laced voice that whispered unintelligible words. Alex's heart pounded in his chest as he fumbled for the door handle. Before he could escape, the woman reached out, her ice-cold fingers closing around his wrist. His vision swam as the fog seeped into the car, filling his lungs, his mind, his very soul.
The next morning, a patrol officer found Alex's car abandoned on the roadside, engine still idling. The driver's seat was empty, save for a single, damp handprint on the steering wheel. No one ever saw Alex again.